Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, The Reunion, Season 8. Let's continue watching.
You don't have to go through things like that.
But it kind of brings up a bigger kind of conversation, which is, and I want to hear everyone's take on this, is it possible to have a booty call one night and literally meet, and look, we've all been there, but literally meet the love of your life?
I'm really glad he's asking this question, because it is the question that is of the moment, at least related to Dave and Lauren. I have to say, it's a stupid-ass question, because of course the answer is yes. Now, if an individual, based on their own wants or their culture or something, didn't want to be with someone that had that in their past, then that's their right. But it's not inherently human to have a booty call, even literally on the way to the airport to be in the pods. It's not inherently anti-experiment, or it isn't an indication that the person isn't legitimately getting engaged in the pods or isn't ready to get engaged. It has nothing to do with that. I think Nick has an answer to that. I don't know what his answer would be actually, but I'm glad he's asking this question because I'm curious what people will say. I know what Lauren would say, and I think I know what Dave would say.
The next day.
Absolutely.
Grandma watches this show.
We all agree that's possible, right? I mean,
Yep.
Lauren says, my grandma watches this show. Yeah, well, your grandma has been doing it a lot longer than you've been alive, so I'm sure she's fine. And Dave says, yeah, okay, so you changed your mind, which is good.
Sure.
So we're finding no fault. Show of hands, everyone agrees with that? We can...
Totally agree with that.
So we can all put this to bed.
Okay, good. I didn't expect that for some reason. I expected at least Dave, but I expected a number of people. Now, maybe if this question pertained to someone like Ben or to Joey or something, or to Dave himself, I wonder if everyone's supportive because they just like Lauren. I don't know.
Listening to Lauren, do you regret putting so much stock in?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you feel like Lauren is the one that got away?
I do. I'm sorry. I don't want to make you feel anything, but I think about it all the time.
Tell her how you feel.
Well, I don't know if I can do that right now.
Interesting. Yeah. Makes me sad. I still think, I don't know, it's all consistent in the ballpark of what I am conceptualizing. And I think he's being authentic enough. And I think the question is just like, well, why don't you go for it? All the same problems are there. I can't, even if he was wall-to-wall therapy in the past year, it wouldn't be enough time.
To be honest, I just don't fully believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You had my phone number for the last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen each other at bars. You've made no effort to show that in any capacity. You acted like I was making you choose between the devil and your family.
Are we about to head into another negative narrative scenario? Now, with this one, it's more viable than the other men on this couch. I still don't think that that's what's happening. Could all the conceptualization that I've been hypothesizing be close to the mark, and at the getaway or after the getaway, he, independent of all of those other factors, was just like, yeah, I'm just not really into it. Could that be? Yeah, maybe. But a lot of indications are pointing in the direction that he doesn't even know how to answer that question. He doesn't know. He isn't allowing himself. He has maybe never been allowed to explore even the remotest element of that question. To be able to answer that question, is this the one for me? You have to have already answered or explored so many other questions. There's so many fundamental questions. This is why 5-year-olds aren't very good at picking their soulmates because there's so many things you have to experience, and things even unrelated to romance, things that just have to do with the future and time and yourself and your needs and how you feel about things, what you were looking for, and what makes you feel good, and how do you know you are feeling good? And so it's a lot of things. But she seems to be going in a direction of, at the very least, you were not as into it as you were saying that you were. And I think that is actually true, but not necessarily for the reasons that people typically think. I think, as an analogy, it'd be like if he had heard what ramen was like, and he'd never had ramen before, and someone gives him top ramen, a cup of noodles, and he doesn't know better, and so he's having this ramen, and he's like, oh, this is what everyone's been talking about how rich it is and how delicious it is and how satisfying it is. And he's like, yeah, I can see it. But he has no idea that he's eating top ramen, and he isn't even aware that if you go to a proper ramen place that makes the broth over the span of a couple days, that it can be, my mouth is watering, that it can be a truly transcendent experience. And there's various different types of ramen, given different regions of Japan, but you get the picture that he was experiencing something. And I'm not saying Lauren is the cup of noodles. I'm saying the feelings that he was having, that he thought he was having, were the top ramen, that he's like, okay, I've heard people talk about love, and I've heard people talk about long-term relationships, and I've never seen it, because I think that's, he's looking to other couples in this room and saying, oh, that's what good couples do. That says something, right? That you could be his age, and because how old is he again? He's 33 now at the reunion, and that he would need to look to the other cast members and say, look, I see how other people are sticking up for each other, and so I should have done that. Like, he needed to see that to, and who knows, he might just be grabbing those examples, but that he's experiencing something, and he's heard tell of love and soulmateness, and he's like, oh yeah, but he's not. He's eating top ramen.
And I was not making you make any decisions. I wanted to talk to your family. I wanted to talk to your friends. I was getting very frustrated that there were all of these conversations happening and judgments being made about me, and I'm not even there to defend myself, and you're clearly not defending me. You weren't even opening the door to have that conversation.
What was the downside?
Oh, and this is a callback to what he said earlier. And I don't know if he said this specifically. He kind of said this, but he said it here at the reunion, that his sister was primarily concerned about him being a villain, him looking poorly. And maybe if the sister were to be honest, she would say, there's something kind of different about my brother in a lot of ways. And he has a hard time processing things. And I was worried that he would go on a show, because he presents as someone that passes as someone who doesn't have that problem. And I'm worried he's going to be misperceived as an asshole or something, and he's going to get a lot of ridicule. And that's why I was telling him, don't do this, I mean, there's a world in which either it mistakenly concluded by the sister or accurately, I don't know, raises some questions, right? If we look at it from big picture wise. And I tend not to go in that direction, because the internet always goes in that direction. I don't know. I just tend to wait until there's some overt indication of those. Anyway, what she said was, what he said, she said, was that she was worried that he was going to be a villain. And she might have been saying that as a part of her overall approach to him prior to the pods, right? And then he's like, no. You can imagine he's saying, one, I'm not going to get engaged. I'm not going to really get married. And two, I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. I'm not going to get hatred. And so he gets engaged, and he's feeling feelings, but he doesn't know how to process them. And he's approaching it the way a child would, so many different elements to this. When he's in the pods and he's crying, and Joey is like, they're there, and he's talking to Devin, and his primary thoughts are, my sister's going to kill me, that I'm falling in love. I mean, that's what a 12-year-old would say. My parents are going to kill me that I've fallen in love. I'm not allowed to fall in love yet, I mean, I'm not, you know what I'm saying. I could go down a road to make it more clear, but that he was once he gets out of the, out of the getaway or out of the pods anyway, he's worried about, oh my God, okay, I'll make my sister proud by not being the villain. How do I do that? Well, I got to make Lauren out to be, at the very least, I need to, how do I thread the needle? Because I can't get married. One, because my sister won't let me. And two, because I don't think I know enough. I just wanted to learn. I didn't want to get married. I wanted to stretch myself, but not that far. You can see that. It's not responsible life, but it's not helpful to Lauren. But you could see that, right? And he even said kind of things along these lines. So he's like, okay, I need to get out of this relationship, but if I just break up with her, I'll be the villain. I will not have America wrapped around my finger, as Matthew said. And so I need to make a case for it. But he lacks no experience, no wisdom. And so he's like, well, the one template I understand is integrity. And so I'm going to grab something, and I'm not going to try to refute it. I'm not going to investigate it. I'm not going to bring over the jabronis. I'm not going to ask the third jabroni. I'm not going to investigate it because that's not the purpose of this. I just need to get out of this because this is too much. And so I'm going to just hammer on this idea. And I'm also waiting for someone to tell me what to do because I'm a child. And so it's you, Lauren, it's not me, it's you. And it is kind of me too. And I'm sorry, but it's you because, you had that thing and you said da-da-da. And it's not me, but it's me because I know it's always me. I'm incompetent and I don't know what I'm doing, but it's you. And hopefully the edit of the show will be that I won't be a villain.
Especially like my sister, to open up to the idea, they just already had their minds made up.
So they didn't want to meet her.
Mm-hmm.
You say, my family supports me 100%. If I really wanted them here, they would be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said that in the same sentence of, well, I can't force them to do anything. So I think that's where the confusion is.
There was another moment you wrote a letter to his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That she's like, just can you give this to her? This is the only way I can communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But you never actually gave your sister the letter.
Yeah, and, to fit that in, confirmation bias into a part of my hypothesis that he wasn't interested in getting married, not because he didn't like Lauren, but because he didn't intend on that happening. It was extending himself way too far. He was not ready. He was not acting responsible by even going on the show. And he wasn't interested in resolving the issue.
Letter.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Mm-hmm. And what was your
When?
sister's?
You didn't give it to her the night that you went over to have dinner at her house.
I gave it to her.
It was in your jacket pocket when you got home that night.
Yeah, I didn't give it to her then, but I gave it to her.
Sus. Major sus. Well, I gave it to her. Well, when you got back home, it was still in your pocket. Well, I gave it to her. Again, sort of childish, right?
What was her response?
She didn't really have one. Again, she just really had her mind made up at that.
I feel a vibe, or I feel simpatico with Lauren. Her facial expressions are exactly how I'm feeling. It's like, well, that doesn't sound convincing. Well, I don't know. She didn't, and this is the way children lie, right? It's easy to detect. I gave it to her. When? And plus, what's the difference, right? It's just say something like, yeah, I didn't give it to her because I didn't think it would work, or just anything. Well, I gave it to her. No, you didn't. I gave it to her. Well, when you got home that night, it was still in your jacket pocket. But I gave it to her. Okay, what was her response? Well, I don't know. It wasn't really much of anything. What?
Point, and it's hard to even elaborate on that.
I mean, I don't hate you. Like, I've never hated you.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's important to name, too, like, speaking of internet and everyone coming for you, and there's a lot of, like, words in your comment section of, like, a narcissist and a manipulator, and I want to clarify, like, I don't think that you are either of those things.
Thank you, Lauren. Double thumbs. Who's got two thumbs and is proud of Lauren? This guy.
think you honestly tried your best with the information that you had, and like that just wasn't enough for what I needed in a partner, and like still isn't. But I just feel like you have a lot of healing and growing to do, but I don't.
And just think about the comparison of other statements at the reunion. If anyone had reason to believe that someone was untrustworthy or a manipulator, and if anyone on this couch could have gotten away with making those kinds of claims, it is definitely Lauren by a long shot. And so in light of all that, she's still protecting him. She's seeing things not only to benefit him, but to benefit herself. She has a healthy narrative. I don't know what her overall story is, but there's some benefit of the doubt. Like, she said in the beginning, he's just immature. And I think that's that word even encapsulates a lot of my hypotheses. It's, my hypothesis is more technical, more specific, more treatment available kind of hypothesis. But I would agree with that. That is, I would imagine an accurate and a helpful narrative for herself, that he's not a manipulator. He did have feelings for me enough. I wasn't being tricked from the beginning. If anyone could have thought that, if anyone had reason to think that, it's Lauren. So what that tells me is that Lauren has enough secure attachment in her past and enough health that she can differentiate her way through this scenario to protect herself and to blame him, but not to go so far as to create a story of maliciousness.
I just want to be clear. I don't think that equates to you being a narcissist or a manipulator.
Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I think it was hurtful to go through. It was honestly hurtful to watch, because you could see that there was a real love, there was a real connection there that got derailed once again by an outside element that, unfortunately was not real. And I think now you can trust your instincts.
Nick is laying out the surface level story, which is fine. You got to wrap it up somehow. But I wonder if she doesn't seem to be completely on board with this. So I wonder if she'll ask a question, because I could see this going a number of different ways. I wonder if she'll wonder about, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like all this being nice to Dave, which I hope she doesn't do. But another possibility is like, I don't know. I feel like there's something going on here. Something stinks, because something does. It's not what people typically will think, like a narcissist, which people have to fucking stop saying. It's aggravating the fuck out of me, this a narcissist thing. I'm just so fed up with it. And it's not going to stop. But I hope it bothers you. Because, I don't hope it bothers you. I hope that when you read it, you go, that is a suspect statement. One, you're a non-clinician trying to grapple with a construct that most clinicians don't understand, by the way, research shows. So stick to your lane. Two, you're not even describing you're describing a sadistic psychopath. It's fine that you don't know that, but don't fucking use the word. Just say, just say that someone exhibits or someone is self-centered or selfish. Just say selfish or uncaring or remorseless or a dick.
Not the words of others.
Yeah, and I think honestly, this show and experiment going forward, I hope there's a lot of people out there that learn from that. Learn that this isn't something to mess around with people's relationships and stuff just because you want to be on Netflix or whatever it is. It's real shit that we're.
So consistent with my hypothesis, his closing statement is directed at the jabroni that he believes might have been manipulating, right? And we don't know. That guy could have been telling the truth, but we'll just never know. I tend to believe Lauren's account of it. Now, could the jabroni have legitimate reason to have been mistaken that his relationship with Lauren was more significant? Maybe. But Lauren can change her mind, or maybe Lauren was a little unclear, or more likely she wasn't definitive in saying we're done, or, which you wouldn't have to. We've already been those. Anyway, I tend to believe Lauren's account. But within my hypothesis, he would still be his personality problem, right? Not he would be, but he would still have it. And he is, in his conclusion here, not taking responsibility. He's blaming the other guy. He's like, yeah, people need to stop messing with. He doesn't even know how to say, well, even if someone was manipulative, like this jabroni, why was I listening to it so profoundly? I need to, so, and he's, I hope that he gets specialized care around whatever is the issue. If I'm close to the mark, it would have to do with underfunctioning and incompetent schema and dependency and enmeshment and connection with self. And, I hope the best for him, but this is still in line with my hypothesis.
We're going through up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's adjourn there for now. I want to remind you to please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.